it just struck me that this question that's raised by Dalibor of the urban condition and context, fabric, on the one hand, and David's beautiful set of quotations and sort of sense of the way Caesar worked, are drawn together in an incredibly difficult project, and maybe one of the most misunderstood of his projects, which is the rehabilitation, if you will, of the Chiado in Lisbon. Because it does the two things. And the interesting thing about it is, probably at the end of the day, there's an incredible humility, vast amounts of frustration with politics, kind of trying to put a quarter together again with all its history, which we're going to touch on now. But it comes in the end back to his respect for the act of crafting and making, whether it happens to be a space or the streets, and the streets, of course, in Lisbon have then this tradition, as he says, of being traceable for 2,000 years through to a Roman origin in terms of the way the tessellated street is laid and what it means and how it deals with the topography and earthquakes and so on, all of which is manifest through the disasters in that place. And it is coming from the other side. You know, the business of practicing is to touch this extraordinary sense of continuity in crafting in any of the materials we use. And I think it's just worth bearing in mind. For instance, I just brought one book here. You know, when one starts to deal with ceramics, you get a potter's book of glazes by somebody like Emmanuel Cooper. There are 455 glaze recipes in here, in 5 chapters that relate to a very small differentiation of temperatures through which these go. Add to that the business of additives that you can put in to do certain things, and you have a kind of something that's more or less as complex as a language. It is the world of a life and many lives that come together. And I reflect on that passage and how we, somewhere between these two worlds, in that sense of how you deal with a piece of ironmongery or a window frame where it lies, in the case of Caesar and Chiado, and respecting a tradition, how you begin to play with that in the short breadth of time we have as a life, practicing in architecture. But I think the essence of what you said is about sharing, and I think we should talk. I mean, there are responses, but maybe those can be done once people who probably have a lot of thirst, as I have, can indulge. So we'll get some of these nibbles in, Jose. And just once more to thank you and Alex for being